CBS News Bay Area Afternoon Edition with Ann Makovic.
Now on the afternoon edition, a 7-Eleven in Oakland targeted again by robbers, the second time in 2 days. Thanks for joining us this Friday. I'm Ann Makovic, and for the store clerk, it is adding insult to injury. He quit his job after yesterday's robbery, but came back today for one final shift and was hit again. Yeah. This is video from the damaged store on Grand Avenue from around 1 this morning. And that clerk we spoke with says that the suspect smashed the door and then hit him, demanding he open the cash register. They then grabbed the money and ran away. This is surveillance video from the same 7-Eleven where early yesterday morning, Oakland police say a driver rammed the store, leaving behind a broken window wall and a big mess. In this case, the store's owner said the robbers were after the safe, but they left empty-handed. The clerk, who was there both nights, says he is obviously fed up. He tells us there have been multiple robberies in the 3 months he's worked there.
Not with me, but it happened. It happened with my colleague people. Two guys came with weapons and they grabbed the cash from me. I told them it's my last day today.
Police say an Arco station and a Shell were also hit early yesterday morning. Officers nabbed 4 suspects a short distance away from a Shell station on High Street. They say they found a stolen safe inside of the car. No word on if today's robbery is connected to that crime spree. Despite all this, police are touting a notable decrease in crime so far this year in Oakland, except, unfortunately, homicides. Overall, OPD says crime decreased by 37% in the first 3 months of this year compared to the same period last year. Violent crimes decreased 33%, but the number of homicides is up 15%. A pedestrian was hit and killed in Fremont overnight. Northbound lanes of 880 near Stevenson blocked for about 2.5 hours as the CHP looked for evidence. That stretch of freeway reopened at about 4:45 this morning. Developing news, the Department of Justice now restoring the visa registrations for more than 1,000 international students after weeks of legal pressure. The students' visa eligibility had suddenly been terminated. Some were arrested or detained. Many filed lawsuits arguing that they were denied due process. Here in California, 121 students are impacted, some of them at Bay Area campuses. An assistant U.S. attorney made today's announcement out of federal court in Oakland. To our first alert weather now, taking a live look from our Black Mountain camera. We are looking toward cool conditions this weekend. Meteorologist Jessica Birch in the virtual view studio with a look at it.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be a cool weekend right around the corner, which is wild to think that it was just last weekend for Easter when we were dealing with 80s off in our inland areas, where daytime highs today are sitting in the low 60s. Antioch, Santa Rosa in the upper 50s, all the way down into the Santa Clara Valley. We're cooling off a lot as we head into this weekend's forecast. Not only that, we're also dealing with stronger onshore winds. We're also gearing up for some rain right around the corner as we head into the evening hours tonight, early morning hours tomorrow. And our forecast is being influenced by this huge area of low pressure that's parked just offshore. It's going to start diving its way into California as we head into this weekend, bringing snow to the Sierra, bringing showers for us here locally in the Bay. On and off, though, as we head into the evening hours tonight, early morning hours tomorrow. This system, the center of the rotation, is just south of us. So interestingly enough, we're actually going to get offshore winds, winds pushing offshore as we head into the afternoon hours today, evening hours tonight, as that continues to circulate its way all throughout California into our Sunday forecast. I'll have those rainfall totals coming up in just a bit. For now, back to you.
Thanks, Jess. President Trump's tariffs are likely to affect Northern California's economy, especially when it comes to things flowing through the Port of Oakland. The port handles nearly all of the shipments by sea into the region, and goods from China add up to nearly half of those imports. Veronica Macias has more on the potential local impact.
Here at the Port of Oakland, they handle 99% of all the containers and shipments that are coming into Northern California. And you can see there are hundreds of containers surrounding us here, long lines of trucks coming in to pick up all the imported goods, the majority coming from Asia. Yesterday, despite the port reporting a strong first quarter with a steady growth of cargo volume, port officials, business owners, and Representative Latifah Simon, who represents California's 12th District, the East Bay, met to express concern. Now that the first quarter has closed, port officials announced a 6.3% year-over-year increase in container volume, representing a total of imports and exports. However, during the first quarter of 2025, businesses rushed to push through goods before further tariffs were enacted. The Maritime Director has said they are prepared to weather whatever comes next, but there is some nervousness with the uncertainty. Yesterday, we heard port officials and Representative Simon express serious concern over what they described as erratic moves by the administration, implementing tariffs, cutting them, delaying, and then raising tariffs again. With all these changes, we could be seeing less volume and supply at the Port of Oakland.
The added tariff is adding on to the increased price. So they have to make the hard decision as to whether they continue to offer the goods or they may not, they may have to absorb some of the costs, which is devastating to our businesses, or, they may not offer those items anymore.
You're providing now, the Trump administration, you're giving us a no-win situation where folks literally could lose their jobs, equipment might not reach its spaces, heart transplants may not be happening in our hospitals. This is a crisis.
A few weeks back when we were here and we spoke to the Maritime Director, he told us back in 2018, this port did well compared to others when tariffs were enacted, and that seems to be the case again this year.
Apple is making moves to shift production of most of its iPhones it sells in the U.S. to India by the end of 2026, trying to navigate potentially higher tariffs in China. That is according to a report by Reuters. Final preparations are being made for the funeral of Pope Francis. President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump are on their way to Rome to attend. Other attendees, former President Joe Biden and former First Lady Jill Biden, as well as Representative Nancy Pelosi. Taking a live look at the Vatican now, where the public viewing has ended. CBS reporter Tina Kraus talked with mourners who filed in earlier to spend a few final moments in the Pope's presence.
Well, how long did you wait in line?
I think it was about 3.5 hours, so not terrible.
Risa and Peter Walsh from Leesburg, Virginia, came to pay their respects.
He was trying to lift up people and bring us together. Yeah.
Humility, yeah, no doubt.
Which
he's a good man.
Which we need more of in this crazy world.
The Vatican says as of noon Rome time, 150,000 visitors paid homage to the 88-year-old who died Monday.
The Vatican says the funeral Pope Francis wanted was one of a pastor and not of a monarch, but royalty will attend. 10 monarchs in all, along with 50 heads of state, including President Trump and former President Biden, one of only 2 Catholic U.S. presidents.
President Trump spoke fondly of the Pope as he and the First Lady left for Rome.
I met him twice. I thought he was a fantastic kind of a guy.
After the funeral, there will be a nearly 4-mile-long procession to the Basilica of St. Mary Major, where Francis chose to be buried.
You know he'll be buried in the other church, only in a simple coffin. What do you think of this?
It's a very beautiful gesture. It's really amazing what he's doing. He's showing that he's not better than anyone. He's just a simple man.
The Vatican says the poor and needy will be waiting on the steps of his favorite church, embracing him in death as he did them in life.
We are going to bring you the funeral of Pope Francis and a CBS News special report. Coverage begins tomorrow at 12:45 a.m. our time. You can watch it here on KPIX and streaming on CBS News 24/7 and Paramount Plus. Lots of options. Still ahead at noon and streaming on CBS News Bay Area. San Francisco bringing EV chargers to the streets where drivers can plug in. San Francisco is bringing EV charging to the streets. This is new video. The city has installed 2 new curbside chargers, this one along Fillmore Street. And with the recent expansion, San Francisco officially has more EV stations than gas pumps. It's all part of a new pilot program to expand the city's EV infrastructure. The city plans to install hundreds, if not thousands, more. Users can sign up, you get your own cord, and then you can power up from the curb. Lauren Toms hits the pavement to see this new chapter of city tech in action.
San Francisco is plugging into the next wave of EV charging by taking it to the streets. For electrician John Doherty, the push towards the future holds a connection to the past.
Senses it's very exciting because it's something new. It's a new application of the work that we do. And in other ways, it's just carrying on the tradition that we've done for 130 years here in San Francisco.
He's part of the IBEW Local 6 Electricians Union, which has helped electrify the city long before EVs or self-driving cars roamed the streets. Back to cable cars and the first muni buses. Now they're wiring up a new electrical era right outside their building walls, one parking space at a time.
It's an important part of our industry. It's growing sector. As we move away from fossil fuels to clean transportation, whether it's cars or any other thing that's going to get charged for mobility.
The city partnered with Brooklyn-based company It's Electric to plug in the new feature. To power up, users register with the company, get their own cord, and connect to the chargers. The electricity comes from nearby residential or commercial power lines with spare electrical capacity without added cost to the building owner. Each space also comes with a sign reserving it for electric vehicle use only, but it's unclear how SFMTA will enforce the space restrictions. It's Electric co-founder Tia Gordon tells us San Francisco leads the charge in adoption of electric vehicles, but it's behind on infrastructure to support them.
We wanted to create that same gold standard that everyone who has a garage to be able to go home and plug in their car and wake up to a full battery in the morning. We wanted to give that to everyone, and that includes people that park on the street.
But not everyone sees this as a green light. Sustainable transportation advocate Luke Bornheimer worries that while EVs may be cleaner, they're still cars, and more cars could mean more danger for cyclists and pedestrians.
All of a sudden, it won't just be about preserving on-street car storage for people who want to store their cars on the street, but it'll also be that now we have these electric car chargers on the sidewalk as well. And so now these are actually going to get in the way of, say, a protected bike lane that people might want. But now all of a sudden the city is going to have sunk cost in an electric car charger that they put on the sidewalk.
Just last week, SFMTA approved its first ever permit for curbside charging, opening the doors for more private buildings to apply. It also marks one step closer to the city's goal of having at least 25% of private cars on city roads to be electric by 2030 and 100% by 2040. Joseph Piasecki of San Francisco's Environmental Department says it's part of the city's push towards becoming a global climate hub.
This curbside pilot is going to help supplement that level 2 charging. It's meant to be able to park, charge whether it's overnight, get a small charge, be able to get on your way.
And for John, the job is more about wires and voltage. It's a legacy and a chance to continue powering the city he calls home.
Back to our first alert weather now as we take a wide view over the city of San Francisco. You can see downtown there in the background. Let's check back in with meteorologist Jessica Birch.
Oh, it's so beautiful out there today. Now, heading into this weekend, we have some unsettled weather in the forecast. What does that exactly mean? Well, we have a system just offshore that's kind of been dictating these temperatures recently. I mean, think about it. A couple days ago, we were in the 80s in our inland spots. Today, we're in the 60s, widespread from Antioch into the Santa Clara Valley. This area of low pressure, it's bringing in not only cooler weather, but these cloudy skies that we're all experiencing throughout the bay. So if you're an overcast fan, well, you're in luck because that's what we're getting for the next couple days. But to add to that, we're also gearing up for some showers right around the corner, too. This area of low pressure sweeps its way into the state of California, just south of us, actually, as we head into this weekend. But we're being influenced by it because we're on the northern end of it. So what's going to happen, it works in a counterclockwise direction, and you'll watch it actually circulate just offshore as we head into this weekend's forecast, pushing onshore by Saturday, heading into Sunday. So we're going to see those winds directly push offshore for a bit since we're on the northern end of it. We could also expect some showers in the forecast too, light to moderate conditions. At the same time, I mean, the Sierra is getting anywhere up to around 15 inches of snow, which is kind of a bummer because a lot of those ski resorts are already starting to close down. But back here in the Bay, we're going to get a quick splash of showers too from now until Sunday. We could gear up for anywhere close to around 1/4 of an inch all the way off in areas like Mountain View, Fremont. More impressive numbers to the South Bay compared to some of us up into wine country. Now, we head into the days to come after that, well, we're going to start warming up and drying up because once that area of low pressure moves away from California, warm air surges its way in. And we're going to notice that not necessarily as much in the Bay compared to some of our inland areas. For example, the Bay is just warming up from the 60s to the 70s as we head into next week, which is a 10-degree jump. But then you look at some of us in our inland spots, we're jumping close to 20 degrees. I mean, 60s as we head into Saturday and Sunday, 80s right around the corner as we head into mid next week with partly cloudy skies still kind of filling the Bay. But it's going to be beautiful and dry nonetheless. We'll keep you updated on that here in the Weather Center. For now, back over to you.
Still ahead in our Project Earth, climate change making our rivers warmer, how that is threatening the fish and a $100 billion industry. In today's Project Earth, California is one of the top fly fishing destinations in the entire country, especially for wild trout. But as climate change warms up our rivers, the pressure is growing on our cold water fish. The phenomenon is impacting freshwater streams across the country, threatening a $100 billion industry. National environmental correspondent David Schechter reports.
This is the home of American fly fishing. This is ground zero right here. You're standing in it.
Brian Shepard is a guide on the historic Beaver Kill River in New York's Catskill Mountains.
We'll go ahead and step one in the water here.
And he's teaching me to fish, if that's even possible.
It's not really about the fish. It's actually about introducing people to a way that their life can improve. And we try to expose them to the magic of this place so that they'll save it.
Got something.
Yep, yep.
Oh, shoot.
That was a fish.
That was a fish.
But rivers everywhere are in trouble. Recent research found 87% of rivers studied across the U.S. and Europe are warming, with 70% losing oxygen.
What climate change does is it's starving the oxygen out of the water. It's raising the water temperature, and it's killing off trout. I don't know that I'll be doing this in 10 to 15 years from now.
Shepard is part of the $1.2 billion U.S. fly fishing industry, but warming water means fewer fish during peak tourism season.
You know, when they hit that mid to high 60 range, it becomes kind of fatal to the trout if you catch them. Nowadays, we're hitting that for 2 to 3 months out of the year.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful place and a really interesting river.
Jeff Skelding, executive director of Friends of the Upper Delaware River, says fewer fish to catch hurt the local fishing tourism economy.
If you go to the museums around here, you'll see pictures of people catching hundreds and hundreds of brook trout out of these streams. That has changed. You're not going to do that anymore.
He says over generations, rivers here have lost flow because of sediment buildup and the construction of dams. That leads to stagnant water, which heats up in the sun, along with the fish in it.
The problems that these rivers are experiencing are not very different than we see in many, many other parts of the country.
To cool the river down, Skelding's nonprofit group is working to restore the flow, which will help more than just the fish.
All kinds of recreational activities increasingly are supporting the economies of these communities.
Hey, David, get that net.
Get that net.
This is a brown, Catskill brown.
Way to go.
Ooh, and look, he's feisty.
Yeah.
Little brown. Little guy, but he's nice, beautiful.
Another magic moment on the Beaver Kill. For Shepard, something worth protecting as the changing climate changes his industry.
Well, coming up, we are taking you to the juiced up Bay Area playground that got some major upgrades thanks to Steph Curry, how his foundation is bringing this schoolyard to life. Kids in Oakland have a newly revamped place to play. Eat, Learn, Play, founded by Steph and Aisha Curry, just unveiled the remodeled schoolyard at Madison Park Academy Primary. It has 2 kid-designed play structures, some sports areas, a nature zone, renovated gardens, and more. They partnered with Kaboom, Workday, and Kaiser Permanente to make it happen. That is it for our Friday edition of the Afternoon Edition. Thanks for joining us. Remember, we are streaming 24/7 on the free CBS News app.